So why we are not productive? Let's talk about why we're not productive and try to see which one you fit under. The first one, and I think a lot of you said it, we talked about distractions. Distractions, we live in an era where everything around us distracts us. You know, it's just like Facebook. It's like I would be working and I just like, I work a lot on my phone and then I find myself looking at the notification of my Facebook. And that takes me 10 minutes because I go, and now I learn to actually close my Facebook whenever I'm on the road. You know, because I don't want to waste time, you know, because I know this is what I'm going to do. So I try not to do it. We are distracted with emails. We are distracted with news everywhere. We are distracted. We live in a distraction culture, actually. Everything around us is distractive. So we have, and what happens that when the distraction come to our brain, it invade our mental space. So we lose focus. So we have emails, social media is another killer for distraction. And we have the TV, the different, you know, my guilty pleasure is watching Real Housewives, for example, right? So it just like, and you start, and I tape everything, oh my God, there are already 3 episodes that I didn't watch. So it becomes like binging on watching them. So this is what I mean by distractions, right? And then how to avoid it, or the antidote for that, is to have proper discipline. So now what I do is like I pre-record, I DVR everything, and when I finish a project, my reward is to watch one of them. And instead of taking an hour watching it, now it's only like 30 minutes because I don't watch the commercials. So it's my rewards. It's like how to discipline your brain to do it. Second thing is we are not productive because we avoid doing things. And we avoid doing things because as human beings, our brain always puts us in defensive mode where it doesn't want to face things that we don't like. So I have to work on a project with that colleague that I don't really like. Maybe I'll leave it till tomorrow or later on. You know, I don't want to avoid, there is something in that project that I don't know, so I don't want to show that I don't know, so I'm going to avoid doing it. We have so many reasons why we avoid things, and without consciously thinking, what happens is that our productivity goes down because of that, because we're not producing, because we're pushing everything on the side. We're trying to avoid the pain of going through things. So this is a very short strategy. You know, avoiding things is a very short strategy to more pain and sorrow and suffering in the long run. Because no matter what, you still have to do what you have to do. So instead of being that way, it will become that way. It will become huge. It's the antidote for that is take action to whatever comes to you right away, no matter how small it is, one step at a time. And the biggest thing that we have why we're not producing is multitasking. How many times someone walks into your office, you're answering the phone, talking to the person in front of you, and answering email at the same time? How is that working for you? Okay, you don't feel like...
It's not very productive, but yeah, I mean, you're just doing what you have to do.
What happened, our brain is not equipped for multitasking. We don't have parallel path in our brain to do multitasking. The only people that are okay, not good in multitasking, are the millennials, the Gen Y. You know, but even, for example, some people tell you, yeah, but I work better when I listen to music. It is true, because the pathways in the brain that listen to music are different pathways when you work on a project. So they're not interacting or interfering with each other. But when you are talking, our brain cannot possibly be talking to you in a smart way, answering the phone in a smart way, and listening to the phone, and also answering an email. There has to be a mistake somewhere. And what happens, we need time to redo what we started. So we actually are spending more time correcting the mistakes of the multitasking than anything else. Like if I'm sending an email and I got a phone call, which one is more priority? Is it the phone call? I'll answer the phone call and I'll hold the email for a few minutes. If someone comes into the office, I will tell them, but I will not do everything at the same time. Multitasking is the biggest disease of this era. It's just we try to do everything, but there is nothing called multitasking. So we need to start doing things the proper way. And also, we are in an era of quick fixes. We take a pill to lose 20 pounds. We inject Botox to remove, these. We take a Red Bull, so we can have energy, but we crash after that. So quick fixes don't work. Shortcuts don't work. Productivity, when you take the shortcuts for your projects, it will not work. It will backfire on you. Exactly like taking an energy drink, 5-hour energy drink that will make you crash miserably after 5 hours. So don't believe in quick fixes. There are no shortcuts in life. Life is not meant to have shortcuts. It's meant to go through the steps logically, one by one. For example, people avoid things like eating kale and green stuff. It's healthy for you on the long run, but it's easier to grab a bag of chips, because this is what we have in front of us. It's a quick fix. I'm just hungry. Let me do it, So this is what for someone that is on the road all the time, I had to I gained so much weight since I started doing the consulting, and now I'm rethinking my brain, because when I do that during lunch and I just grab anything like chips or whatever, if I'm doing training on all day, I feel my energy goes down by 2 or 3. So it wasn't actually helping me. So I don't produce as much as I want to produce. So I had to change the whole way of thinking. Quick fixes don't work. And then blaming others, having excuses. Well, I don't have and the main excuse that I hear from people is when someone tells me I don't have time. And we all say that, but actually, again, it's managing your time. Energy, lack of energy. When we let people absorb our energy, again, we don't get energy, we generate energy. I want you always to remember that. Confidence and energy, we don't get them, we generate them. So it's in our hand to generate that energy and that confidence. Energy, we lose a lot of energy because we have to take a lot of decisions all day long, even when we drive. Do I pass on the right? Do I have enough space to go on the left? Where is the space that so our decision takes a lot of energy. So we need to clear our brain, so when we really need the energy for productivity, this is what we can. No energy, you cannot think clearly and mentally. And the most important part that takes away your energy are the interruptions. It's like you said, phone calls, emails, people coming to your desk. So these are why we are not productive. Let's look at the obstacles of our productivity. There is something called, actually the Asian culture calls something called the monkey brain. Do we know what the monkey brain is? The monkey brain is when you have, it's like, when you have a little can and you put a little something inside, like a little rock or something, and you start going like that voice that you hear going into the vacuum, this is what monkey brain is. Meaning that when you have a little idea, that is you are obsessed with, it keeps going like that in your brain, and it sucks all your energy and your productivity. In another word, in neuroscience, it's called butterfly effect. They say if a butterfly flaps its wing in Hong Kong, it will cause a storm in Kansas. Meaning, if you had a fight at home the night before, and you come to work with that fight in your brain, when the problem starts flapping its wings, that's all you will think about. And the whole day, your energy is sucked into that. You just keep thinking about what happened negative. You have something with someone, a problem with work. How many of you take problems of work with colleagues home? And how does that work for your productivity? And it stays for days, right? We obsess over that. And we don't know what to do. I should have said this, and because they said that, this is how I feel. So this is what we call the butterfly effect. Again, the solution for that is to live in the present. Live in the moment. And not think about what happened half an hour ago, and not thinking about what will happen in half an hour. And the most important part, when someone trespasses us or on us, we need to forgive and forget. Not only forgive, but also forget. Because if you don't forgive, you carry that cross on your shoulder. And that is like drinking poison, waiting for your enemy to die. That's when what you don't forget what you do. Because that person will have no idea what you're going through. So for forget and forgive what we do, we say, don't nurse it, don't rehearse it, and don't curse it. Just live in the moment, accept it, and move forward. Past, like we said, people live in the past. Your past does not define you. Whatever happened in your past is not your identity, good, bad, or ugly. What your value, your personal value depends on how you are today. What did you learn from that past that you brought it today? Are you bringing only the bitterness of the past, or you're bringing the positive thing? It's a choice. So you need to reconcile with the past and accept it as it is, because again, it does not define you. And now, Darren, you mentioned procrastination. Do we know what procrastination means? What's procrastination?
Putting things off even to do.
Do we agree with that? So procrastination is putting things that needs to be done today to another time. Why do we think we procrastinate? What?
I know.
Tell me. Fear. Thank you. You know I'm big on fear, right?
Yeah.
I'm huge on fear, So why do we think we procrastinate? Fear is actually the root of the problem. But what are the symptoms? Why do you procrastinate, Darren? If you do, and I'm not saying that you're a procrastinator, but if you procrastinate, why would you procrastinate?
Just not feeling motivated to do it in some cases. Like I mentioned earlier, I work better with deadlines. Maybe it's because I procrastinate if I create those deadlines, and that's when I get the work done. I feel I get a lot done.
Can you create your own deadlines?
What?
Can you create your own deadlines?
Oh yeah.
So why don't you do that
Yeah.
in every project?
I put that down as the solution after that.
Yes. And you know how to do a deadline? Don't just write it down. Calendar it. Have it on your calendar with reminders, like if you have a meeting. This way it becomes more real to your brain. What we don't have on our calendar will not be done. This is part of the psychology. Like the minute we have it, and deadlines, I have them in a different color on my calendar. I have them in red, actually. So it will like be in front of my eyes, so I know that I have a deadline. You can motivate yourself by finding. I waited till we come here so I can discuss that with you. Do your own deadline. Play a little game with yourself. And once you do, but the most important part, Darren, is like when you achieve that project in that deadline, there is a very important thing to do. You need to reward yourself. Even if it means rewarding yourself, meaning getting out and breathing fresh air. Even if it means getting a little Twix bar. Anything that in your brain means reward, because what happens is that when you reward your brain, you're telling your brain, I'm doing something good, I'm rewarding you, so the brain will look for actions similar to that so it can be rewarded. So it becomes a cycle, it becomes a habit. That's why if we understand the simple steps on creating habits and how our brain works, we can actually turn a lot of negatives into positive. The most important part is rewarding yourself. Okay? So let me know, because I'm going to be your accountability partner in that. All right? So we procrastinate because we don't have motivation, we are overwhelmed, we don't feel we have the time, we feel like, I don't know where to start, or I don't like what I do, or I don't even know what I'm doing, or I have too many things in my plate. And all that is actually rooted in fear. Procrastination comes from fear. So we need to know, what are we fearful of? Until we really, again, face ourselves to the roots of our problems, we will not be able to solve them. It's like any other thing. If we don't realize we have an issue, if I don't have a headache, I'm not going to take Advil. So we need to realize what we have so we can deal with it. The more we procrastinate, it adds stress as well. The more we avoid doing things, we think that things are going to go away on their own. They don't. They become worse. And then perfectionism, where people say, I want everything to be perfect. We said we have few perfectionists here, right? I have news for you. There is nothing in life called perfection. Nothing. There is striving to excellence, but there is no perfection. Perfection, by its own definition, is you need to release something to perfect it. You need to release something to see if it works or it doesn't work so you can perfect it. But you cannot perfect something without releasing it. And perfection is part of procrastination. And procrastination is fear. So perfection equals procrastination equals fear. And that's what we need to start realizing, the real base of everything that we go. So I want you, and when we go through perfection, we get a very tunnel vision. And we are putting more stress in our lives on ourselves, and we set unrealistic goals that we don't achieve, so the frustration cycle begins, and it never ends. Okay? And then we have the negative self-talk. We talk in our brain ourselves like, you're not good enough. You don't know what you're doing. You think people are going to accept you. People are going to reject you. You know, and all this self-negative talk is in our mind. And every now and then, all of us, we have it. Especially when we are faced with something new. So we need to realize to stop that chatter in our brain. That's again, part of the monkey brain. A very easy way that I learned how to turn that negative self-talk and to stop it, our brain is very easily distracted. So I used for a long time, for more than 2 months, I wore a rubber band around my wrist. And the minute I start hearing the negative talk in my head or start having the fear, I would snap it. When I snap it, because of that pain that it causes, it resets your brain. It's like, you know, on your computer, when you reset the button on your computer, that's what it does to your brain. So the brain resets itself, you breathe deep, and then you go on with the task again. It will stop your negative. And once you start distracting your brain, again, it becomes a habit. And now you know how to do it consciously without doing that. You have a virtual rubber band. Another way to do it is people will hold 2 fingers in the bridge here and will press really hard on it. And it releases the brain. It resets the brain. So it depends whatever you want to do with yourself. I didn't have a problem having a rubber band. So if you prefer to do it this way, even when you're stressed, if you do that, it will reset yourself. But make sure once you reset yourself, you need to breathe and breathe deep. Like 3 times, 5 times. This way, why we breathe so deep? Because oxygen is the fuel of the brain. So you're giving food to your brain. And this way, it calms you down. So all these are little tools that can have, because productivity is a result of so many things, but we don't look at it this way. And if we hit every single corner of the cycle, we're able to increase productivity. And then another obstacle of productivity is that you are not vocalizing your desires, meaning you do not know where you want to be. You know, you are in your job fine, but what do you want to achieve from your job? Do you want a promotion, or you're fine where you are, you know, for now, but you want to be satisfied, you want to be motivated? What is it that you want? You cannot just say, I'm not happy. You cannot just say, I'm miserable or I'm frustrated. You need to know where you want to go and start working towards that. And also, you get lost in everyday routine. So the day becomes a routine. It's like you go to work, you answer the emails, you answer the phone calls, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to show for what your day is. So all these are obstacles. Discipline is important as a solution for that. Also, saying yes to everything. I want you to know that when you start saying yes for something, you are giving away something else. Because at the end, we all have 24 hours. Time of the day is like a balloon. When you have a balloon that is full of air and you pressure that balloon from here, what happens? Or the air goes to this side, right? And when you do it from here, it goes back to this side, or it bursts. That's the same as your time. It's the same amount of air inside a specific balloon. So when we put something on our plate more, it's like having a full plate of food. If you put something more on the top, something is going to fall. This is how you need to consider your day, your time in the day. When you accept something more in your plate, know what you can give up. Like when I started working for myself, increasing accounts, I give up watching TV. You know, it just like for me, it was a sacrifice, believe it or not, but it just, you have to give away something of what you do. And this is the most important part. That's important to understand that. So you cannot say yes to everything. And that's why your assertiveness comes in. You need to start being assertive. Do we know what assertiveness means? It's learning to say no in a positive way. So if someone comes and tells you, Jessica, I need your help right now because I have a deadline, you can say, I'll be very happy to help you out, but I have a deadline myself. I can help you after 3 p.m. today. You're not telling them no, you're not blowing them off. You're saying no, but in a positive way. If, for example, your boss comes and throws on your desk 3 projects, but they forgot that they give you 2 more, and all of them has to be delivered tomorrow at 12. You tell them, you know what? I'm loving this project, but you gave me this 4 projects. Which one do you want me to start with? So you're putting the ball in their corner while being assertive, not saying no, I'm not going to do it, but you are giving them the responsibility of which project you get first, instead of stressing out. Because if you keep accepting everything, you're going to go into your desk like, who does she believe I am? I'm not a computer. I have time like everybody else. And we start nagging, and the negative self-talk, what will it do to your productivity? Does it make sense so far? Or have you ever thought about productivity this way? Yes, no? Little? Okay. Well, this is very good. That means that you are on the right track, Darren. Because again, for me, just like when I look at the roots of a problem, this is what makes us make sure that we follow the right path. It was a big discovery for me years and years ago when I really studied the neuroscience of productivity. And now it's just like, I used to work like 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now, especially when I started my business, and now I work till like 4 if I'm on the road, or 5, and I choose my hours so I don't hit traffic. And if I have to be in traffic, because I have accounts in Redlands, City of Redlands is my account, so it's like an hour and a half drive. I prepare myself, and we're going to talk about routines later on. I prepare myself, which kind of music I'm in the mood for. So I prepare my USB, in the car, or I prepare an audiobook, a book that I wanted to read that I never had the time for. I have 3 hours driving. So I just have that audiobook. So if there is traffic, I prepare my mind. There will be traffic. It's part of the job. It's okay. I don't get frustrated anymore. It's about how to change your patterns, how to accept things or not to accept things. So say no without being worried of rejection. And do we know why most people say yes to things? Because they are people pleasers. They want everybody to like them. But I have news for you. No matter what you do, not everybody is going to like you. And not everybody is going to appreciate you, and it's okay. It does not reflect on you, it reflects on them.